just a good old boy.
I've been getting a lot of requests here lately on how you like the rake. How's it doing so far for you now that you've gotten it and y'all have used it a good bit? Because as y'all may remember if you've been watching for a while, I actually had this same exact rake on demo. It's maybe been 2 years ago, a year ago. We used the same exact rake for a little bit, and I did a review on it. Well, for the most part, I mean, everything has stayed the same. My thoughts, I really haven't seen anything that I felt like has changed with it, or my opinion hasn't really changed with it. I love the slope neck versus the other one, because the other one always hit right in here where the lines were because it'd come out straight and then down. And with the 3-point arms would hit right in here where these lines were and cut them and mess them up, whereas this one don't. But looks like somebody's already gotten into it with a tire turning back too quick. But everything's pretty well the same on this one is the sr108 original one that they had instead of the G2. The ground pressure springs are the same. Really the only thing they've changed is the neck and these pieces here where it sets the back end in and out. These work good in mediocre to thin hay, but in heavy hay, bending them back and then opening the front up doesn't generally work that great. It'll ball if you pull it up if you put too much of an arch in it, it'll cause the back end to ball with that heavy of hay trying to flow in and it trying to pinch it that tight. That's one thing I have found out since running this thing a lot and running it in different amounts of hay, is the fact that other than that, it works really good. Second cut, it's probably going to work extremely well, but for round baling, I normally just leave it straight. We did extend it, came extended out one, whereas used to our old one we never had it extended out, it's sucked all the way in. So that it does has added a little bit more volume of hay in, which some folks have asked before, why do y'all prefer, let me come over here, the 4 wheels or 8 wheels on each side versus 10 or 12? Well, where we're at here, our hay's generally thick, and we just don't need the volume of hay off of the other 2 wheels to go on the roads. Most of the time 4 wheels has got plenty of hay coming in and I just don't need it. Somebody said, well, I didn't know if you worried about the swath wisp between your mowers and collecting enough. If that was the case, I wouldn't want a 10 wheel rather than the sr108 for our mower. I think it'd be a 10 or maybe the 12. But we fluff everything, so it doesn't matter anyway. But we have raked hay that way with the rows pulled up behind the conditioner, and it would help a lot if it was a little bit wider in that circumstance. But like I said, 9 times out of 10 we are running it right behind, or running it after it's been tedded or fluffed, and I don't really have that issue with it. Or I would go bigger, but we don't need the extra wheels for volume. If I was in a more of a hotter, drier climate, like say further south or something, and the hay didn't get quite as thick as it does here, I would probably want a larger rake so that way I can get more volume into the windrow. But we don't really want any more volume, is one thing. Sometimes we only use one side, depending on, we ran into that some this year, the hay was so heavy. One huge improvement that I really like over, which I think I said this in an initial review, over the old rake, is they don't have the safety bar across here anymore with the 3 little prongs that you stuck it on. One was for both sides, one was for one side, and then one was to lock it up. Now they've got the valve. I really like the valve. It's so much easier than that bar, because what would happen with the bar is when it mounted here, there was a pin here, but it was one of the crooked pins, kind of like a receiver hitch pin, and it would always twist just right to where you couldn't get that bar to come off when you locked it up, and that was aggravating. I should have cut the end of that pin off a little bit and we wouldn't have had to worry about it, but and then it's just easier than fooling with that bar just to flip the lever rather than having to go through all that other mess. Has 2 cylinders on each side. I really like the fact that these have the float on them rather than the locking style. I need to take, I don't know why these bolts is in here. They shouldn't be in there. I need to look in the manual and take that out, because we don't really need those, because the tractor we're running this on does not have float, and they should work back and forth in that slot. I need to look up that and see. I haven't never noticed that till now. But yeah, I like the fact that it has the slots now rather than needing float because of that. The pins to adjust the back are real easy to change. It's not real hard on it, as far as getting them to swap from one to the other. But you can tow these things down the road as fast as you want to go. The sides here, same bars as our old one did. They're easy to adjust. The wheels, as far as down pressure, you have the large springs, like I said, to adjust. Some of Kuhn's rakes has like an adjuster here to pull down on them to set each individual wheel. It's kind of like the peck weight, except it has one adjustment on the side. One thing I've seen about the individual wheel down pressure, which I have not seen one of the Kuhn's with the bar that you adjust on them. I would like to have I know on the Peckway and some of the others I looked at, they only have an adjustment to minimize down pressure, not increase it. I would like to have one to where you can do either way. You can increase it or lessen it, because in heavy crop, sometimes you need, or heavy or damp crop, you need a little bit more down pressure than you need less, and that would be something that you could adjust on the fly by yourself instead of not having that. But I always thought it'd be cool. I know the Kuhn's kind of do, to adjust all of them off of one bar and just spin it on each side to adjust your down pressure, or from more or less. But I don't know if the Kuhn, if you can add down pressure or not. I know you can take it away, but that would be one thing that I would like to see the Peckway maybe do, that on its design, is it be able to add down pressure rather than just take it away. So that's one thing. I don't think I ever showed our manure spreader. It's the perfect color. But these fluffers, I get more review comments and questions about these tethers all the time. For some reason, I've never understood why. Everybody wants to know about these tethers. I've done reviews on these things several years ago, all of our equipment, one by one. These both are identical. Both tethers are. They're Kuhn 5.52 4x7Ts. Both of them are. This one, I think it's, no, it's this one. This one here is a little bit newer than that one is. We bought this one used up at Cane's, and we bought this one brand new. This one's got a lot more acres through it. We used to only have just the one, and then we added 2. Right there's something I see I'm gonna have to do. I do not like these grease seals they have in these things. They go bad all the time, and you have to pull the entire head off to replace them. Is one downside to them. Another thing that we had an issue with is this shaft that runs through here. The shaft hadn't went bad, but there's a piece that comes up through here that's circle shaped that allows these wheels to do that pivot on the back with that bar, so you kick the hay away from the fence row in the first round. And that piece that's in here, this shaft runs right through it. It's bad to get bent, that piece that runs up in there is. And then the axles also are not heavy enough to carry these. They're bad to get bent too. Other than that, they do a pretty dang good job. These bars, you got to really take care of them and keep them tight and everything, because they will break and crack off and fall off. I know a lot of people has just taken them off. They ain't really worth anything. But that's pretty well it on these. Other than that, we ain't never really had no trouble with them. One thing I don't like about these is that both of them do, and they still do to this day, is if you ted your hay the first time, it scatters it out really well, but the second time you ted it, it kind of windrows it between each star, the two stars it's throwing, and it doesn't scatter it out as good. That's a known problem with these Krohns. I don't know, they don't have enough turbine or star speed to, for me, I like a really fast turning star, and these are a little bit slower. They haven't changed them really any since we bought these at all. They're basically the same fluffers. They've been good to us, but there's some things that I would think that they need to change and make stronger, like the axles. They are still the same. They haven't updated those at all. Pretty much any of the pieces inside of it's all basically the same stuff as these are, and they really need to go through and make some of this stuff heavier and maybe put a little bit faster gear in there and spin these things a little faster. The Peckway and the Klaus that I demoed, they turned a lot faster and would sling the hay a lot further, and I really like that, whereas these don't. That's one thing with these I'm not real crazy about, is I wish they would spin a little faster and throw the hay better than they do. But as far as reliability, other than the axles bending and those pieces that go up through there and the seals, they've been pretty reliable. We can't really complain about them a whole lot, but I mean, we've had them for several years now and they've been really good to us, but there's definitely some things about them that have annoyed me that I wish that they would have made better. Which the Krohn stuff we've had has been good equipment, but they've always got a few little things that just make you scratch your head that was a little bit too light. They'll make something like the tubing and everything extremely heavy on these things, but then they'll have one thing that, like these axles, that are not heavy enough to carry the tedder under its own weight, that they'll bend if you ain't careful, and they shouldn't do that. We've had other fluffers and never had an issue with it the same size, and that's the one thing with Krohn that always drove me crazy. Their mower that we had, I could tell you a lot of stuff about that with those, but we ain't gonna get into all that today. But that's a little bit of the rake update and a little bit of information on these Krohns, in case y'all was wondering that. I like Krohn. I'm not throwing off on them or nothing, but I mean, if you run this stuff every day, you learn things about each company that they do that just kind of makes you scratch your head. So thanks for watching. Please comment, rate, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.